Galactic Council's emergency session erupted into chaos as the long-range sensors confirmed the unthinkable. A human fleet of planet-sized ships had entered the galaxy's outer rim. Thousands of vessels, each rivaling small celestial bodies in scale, advanced steadily towards the galactic core. The Council Chamber, a vast amphitheater designed to accommodate representatives from hundreds of alien races, buzzed with a mixture of fear, outrage, and disbelief. As he approached the central podium, a blue-skinned figure intercepted his path. Rigel, the high-ranking Bolian representative known for his anti-human rhetoric, glared at Logan with undisguised hostility. "Human," Rigel spat, his voice carrying across the chamber. "You stand accused of warmongering and violating countless interstellar treaties. What say you to these charges?" Logan met Rigel's gaze unflinchingly. "Esteemed members of the Council," he began, his voice calm and measured, "Earth has indeed developed technologies beyond your current understanding. Our fleet represents centuries of preparation, driven by humanity's innate fear of cosmic threats and our unwavering determination to secure our place in the universe." A collective gasp rippled through the assembly as Logan continued. "The ships you've detected carry billions of humans in cryostasis, ready to colonize new worlds and establish humanity as a major galactic power. We come not as conquerors, but as partners in shaping the future of our shared galaxy." Rigel's face contorted with rage. "This is an outrage, a direct threat to the balance of power." He turned to address the Council at large. "I propose immediate sanctions against Earth. This human fleet must be neutralized before it's too late." Logan raised a hand, his voice cutting through the growing tumult. "We offer an olive branch. Earth seeks peaceful integration into the galactic community. Our strength can become your strength, our technologies a shared resource for the betterment of all species." As arguments erupted across the chamber, Logan noticed a female Bolian diplomat named Zara watching him intently. Unlike her compatriot Rigel, her expression held curiosity rather than contempt. Their eyes met briefly, a silent exchange that hinted at potential allies in unexpected places. The Council's central display flickered to life, showing the human fleet's steady advance. Time was running short. The fate of humanity's integration into the galactic community hung in the balance. With centuries of secret preparation culminating in this moment, Logan stood firm, ready to navigate the treacherous waters of interstellar diplomacy and usher in a new era for Earth and the galaxy at large. As the arguments intensified and species took sides, one thing became clear. The arrival of humanity's planet-sized fleet had irrevocably altered the cosmic playing field. The next few moments would determine whether this change heralded a new age of cooperation or the spark that ignited an intergalactic conflict. The Council chamber's cacophony reached a fever pitch when Logan's communicator buzzed with an urgent message. He glanced at the device, his eyes widening as he read the encrypted text from Admiral Marcus Steele. The news was dire. General Hector Blackwood, a notorious hardliner within the human fleet, had broken formation and was en route to the Bolian homeworld with a contingent of ships. "Esteemed members of the Council, I must interrupt these proceedings with urgent news," he announced, his tone grave. "A faction of our fleet, led by General Blackwood, has broken away and is heading towards the Bolian homeworld. I assure you this action is not sanctioned by Earth's government or military command." The chamber erupted once more, this time with shouts of outrage and accusations. Rigel, the anti-human Bolian representative, leapt to his feet, his blue skin flushed a deep indigo with anger. "Treachery!" Rigel bellowed, pointing a long, slender finger at Logan. "You humans speak of peace while your warships bear down on innocent worlds. This is proof of your duplicitous nature." As the Council devolved into heated arguments, Logan noticed Zara, the female Bolian diplomat, rise from her seat. Her voice, calm yet forceful, silenced the chamber. "Colleagues, consider the humans' actions," Zara said, her gaze sweeping across the assembly. "By revealing this threat, Logan Gordon has demonstrated Earth's commitment to transparency and peace. We should view this as an opportunity for cooperation, not conflict." Rigel scoffed, his voice dripping with disdain. "And put more human warships near our homeworld? Absolutely not!" Before Rigel could continue his tirade, Zara interjected, "I volunteer to join this task force as a Bolian representative. With the Council's approval, we can assemble a diverse team to accompany Logan and ensure the mission's integrity." The Council chamber buzzed with hushed discussions. Time was of the essence, and with no better alternatives presented, the Galactic Council reluctantly agreed to Logan's proposal. Within moments, a team of alien diplomats and military advisors was hastily assembled. As Logan prepared to depart, his communicator chimed again. Admiral Steele's face appeared on the small screen, his expression grim. "Logan, there's more you need to know," Steele said, his voice low. "Blackwood has a planet-killer weapon aboard his command ship. If he reaches the Bolian homeworld..." The Admiral's words hung in the air, the implications clear. Logan's mind focused as he realized the true gravity of the situation. Failure wasn't an option. The fate of billions of Bolians and the future of human-galactic relations hung in the balance. Moments later, Logan found himself aboard a sleek diplomatic vessel, its hull shimmering with advanced cloaking technology. The ship's bridge bustled with activity as the diverse crew prepared for their urgent mission. Logan stood at the helm, Zara by his side, as he addressed the assembled team. "What I'm about to tell you is classified information," Logan began, his voice steady despite the weight of his words. "General Blackwood possesses a weapon capable of destroying entire planets. Our mission is not just to stop him from reaching the Bolian homeworld, but to prevent a catastrophe that could ignite an interstellar war." A collective gasp rippled through the alien representatives. Logan watched as shock, fear, and anger played across their features. An Arcturian diplomat, his crystalline form shimmering with agitation, spoke up. "How could your species develop such a weapon in secret?" the Arcturian demanded, his voice a melodic chime tinged with accusation. Logan met the Arcturian's gaze steadily. "Humanity's fear of cosmic threats drove us to create defensive measures beyond your imagination. But I assure you, weapons like this were never meant to be used against peaceful worlds." As the ship accelerated towards the Bolian system, Logan found himself working closely with Zara. Her insights into Bolian culture and politics proved invaluable as they formulated a strategy to confront Blackwood. "Our people value harmony above all else," Zara explained as they pored over star charts. "Blackwood's aggressive approach will only serve to unite Bolians against him. If we can communicate with planetary leadership before he arrives, we may be able to coordinate a unified response." Logan nodded, impressed by Zara's strategic thinking. As they worked, he found himself appreciating not just her intellect, but her calm demeanor in the face of crisis. Despite the vast differences between their species, Logan sensed a growing connection with the Bolian diplomat. The journey to the Bolian system was tense, filled with strategy sessions and heated debates among the alien representatives. Logan did his best to mediate conflicts and keep the team focused on their shared goal. As they approached Bolian space, the ship's long-range sensors crackled to life. Multiple contacts detected in orbit around the Bolian homeworld, the Tellarite sensor operator announced, her snout twitching with nervous energy. Configurations match known human vessel designs. "This is General Hector Blackwood of the Earth Liberation Front," the rogue leader's voice boomed through the ship's speakers. "To the leaders of the Bolian people, your world now stands at the mercy of human might. Surrender immediately and acknowledge human supremacy, or face annihilation." Logan exchanged a grim look with Zara. The confrontation they had raced across the galaxy to prevent was now unavoidable. As Blackwood's ultimatum hung in the air, Logan knew that his next actions would determine not just the fate of the Bolian homeworld, but the future of humanity's place in the galactic community. With tensions at a breaking point and billions of lives in the balance, Logan steeled himself for the challenge ahead. He had to find a way to stop Blackwood without resorting to violence that could spark an interstellar war. The diplomatic skills he had honed over years would be put to the ultimate test, with the eyes of the galaxy watching his every move. Suddenly the ship's sensors blared to life, cutting through the tense atmosphere on the bridge. The Tellarite sensor operator's eyes widened as she interpreted the data streaming across her console. "Massive energy surge detected from Blackwood's flagship," she exclaimed, her voice tight with urgency. It's beyond anything I've ever seen. Zara gasped, her blue skin paling to a lighter shade. The capital city? Millions of my people. Time seemed to slow as Logan's mind raced through their options. They couldn't hope to evacuate the city in time, and a direct assault on Blackwood's heavily armed fleet would be suicide. Then his eyes fell on the cloaking device controls, and an idea began to form. "I have a plan," Logan announced, turning to address the assembled team. "It's risky, but it's our only shot at stopping Blackwood without widespread destruction." As Logan outlined his daring strategy, he could see a mix of shock and admiration in the eyes of the alien representatives. The plan called for them to exploit their ship's advanced cloaking technology to slip past Blackwood's defenses and land directly on the hull of his flagship. Zara stepped forward, her eyes meeting Logan's with fierce commitment. "I'm coming with you," she stated, leaving no room for argument. Minutes later, Logan found himself stepping out onto the hull of Blackwood's massive flagship, the vastness of space stretching out around him. Zara floated beside him, her environmental suit gleaming in the starlight. Behind them, a small team of engineers prepared to sabotage the power coupling. As they moved across the hull's surface using magnetic boots, Logan's comms crackled to life. Multiple security drones deploying from the ship's hangar warned the Arcturian diplomat, monitoring their progress from their own vessel. "They're heading your way." Logan looked up to see a swarm of sleek, deadly machines emerging from the flagship's underside. "We've been detected," he said to Zara. "We need to buy the engineers time to complete their work." Without hesitation, Zara unholstered a compact energy weapon from her suit. "I may be a diplomat," she said, a hint of a smile in her voice, "but all Bolians receive basic combat training." The next few minutes were a blur of action as Logan and Zara fought side by side against the onslaught of security drones. Logan's years of military experience melded seamlessly with Zara's surprising agility and precision. They moved in perfect sync, covering each other's blind spots and taking down drone after drone. Looking up, Logan saw a massive firefight erupting above them. Steele's ships had positioned themselves between Blackwood's rogue faction and the Bolian planet, creating a protective barrier. With rekindled commitment, Logan and Zara pressed on, fighting their way back to the power coupling. They arrived just as the engineering team finished their work. No sooner had the words left his mouth than the entire ship began to shudder. Alarms blared, audible even through the vacuum of space, and explosions rippled across the flagship's hull. "Everyone, back to the ship!" Logan ordered, ushering his team towards their vessel. As they raced across the hull, chunks of debris floated past them, and the flagship's structural integrity began to fail. They barely made it back to their ship and disengaged from Blackwood's vessel before it was consumed by a series of cascading explosions. The planet-killer weapon had been neutralized, and the Bolian homeworld was safe. But their victory was short-lived. As they regrouped on the bridge, Admiral Steele's face appeared on the main view screen, his expression grave. "Logan, we have a problem," Steele said, his voice tense. "Blackwood activated a dead man switch before his ship was destroyed. If he dies or loses control, his entire fleet will detonate. We can't risk destroying them outright." Zara stepped up beside him, her face set with drive. "I'll come with you," she said. "My diplomatic skills might be useful in negotiating with Blackwood." Admiral Steele's loyalist ships moved to intercept, engaging the rogue vessels in a fierce battle. Explosions lit up the space around them as Logan piloted their small craft through the melee, dodging weapons fire and debris. "There!" Zara shouted, pointing to a small, fast-moving object ahead of them. "Blackwood's pod!" Logan pushed their ship to its limits, weaving through the battle as they closed in on their quarry. Just as they came within range, a stray shot from the battle rocked their vessel, sending them spinning. Fighting with the controls, Logan managed to stabilize their ship just in time to see Blackwood's escape pod disappearing into the upper atmosphere of a nearby moon. "We can't lose him," Logan said through gritted teeth, adjusting their course to follow. As they plunged into the moon's thin atmosphere, Logan could feel the weight of their mission pressing down on him. They had to capture Blackwood alive, convince him to stand down, and prevent the detonation of his fleet. The fate of human-alien relations and the stability of the galaxy rested on their success. Zara nodded, her expression resolute. Let's finish this. Together they stepped out onto the moon's surface, ready to confront the man who had nearly plunged the galaxy into war. As they approached Blackwood's pod, Logan's hand tightened on his weapon, knowing that the most challenging part of their mission was just beginning. As they approached Blackwood's pod, Logan's hand tightened on his weapon, knowing that the most challenging part of their mission was just starting. "Stand down, General!" Logan shouted, his muscles straining against Blackwood's surprising strength. With a swift, practiced move, Logan twisted Blackwood's wrist, forcing him to release the weapon. It clattered to the floor where Zara quickly scooped it up. Blackwood's eyes blazed with fury as Logan pinned him against the pod's wall. "You fool!" he spat. "You have no idea what you've done." Zara moved to the pod's control panel, her fingers dancing over the unfamiliar human technology. "I've secured the systems," she reported, her voice tense. "But we have a problem." Before she could elaborate, Blackwood's lip curled into a bitter smile. "You can't stop this," he said, his voice low and menacing. "I've made sure of that." Logan's grip tightened on Blackwood's collar. "What are you talking about?" Logan exchanged a worried glance with Zara. The situation had just become exponentially more complex. A sudden impact rocked the escape pod, nearly throwing them off their feet. Through the viewports, they could see the space around them erupting into chaos. Admiral Steele's loyalist fleet engaged Blackwood's forces in a fierce firefight, with the small escape pod caught in the middle. "We're sustaining damage," Zara reported, her fingers flying over the controls. "A stray shot hit our starboard hull. If this keeps up, we won't last long." Logan's mind raced. They needed to neutralize Blackwood, end the space battle, and prevent galactic war, all while keeping the general conscious and unharmed. He tapped his communicator, connecting to Admiral Steele's flagship. "Admiral, we have Blackwood, but there's a complication. We need a cybersecurity team here ASAP, someone who can deal with neural interfaces." Steele's voice crackled back, strained with the sounds of battle in the background. "Understood, Logan. I'm dispatching Dr. Elena Reeves and her team. Hold tight." As Logan relayed the plan to Zara, another impact shook the pod violently. Warning lights flashed across the control panel, and a hissing sound filled the air. Logan turned to Blackwood, still pinned against the wall. "Looks like we all need this pod in one piece. Are you going to help us fix it, or do you want to suffocate to prove a point?" Blackwood's eyes darted between Logan and Zara, calculating. Finally, he gave a curt nod. "Release me, I'll help." For the next tense minutes, the three worked in an uneasy alliance to repair the pod's life support systems. Logan kept a wary eye on Blackwood as they worked, noting the general's efficient movements and deep understanding of the pod's systems. Blackwood's hands stilled for a moment. "More than you know," he replied, his voice gruff. "I've seen things out there that would turn your hair white." "Is that why you're doing this?" Zara asked, her diplomat's instincts sensing an opportunity. "Because of what you've seen?" Blackwood's teeth clenched. "You wouldn't understand. None of you do. The threats out there, humanity needs to be strong, dominant. It's the only way to survive." Before they could probe further, Dr. Elena Reeves and her team arrived, their small shuttle docking with the escape pod. The brilliant scientist, her dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, immediately set to work, her equipment filling the already cramped space. "This is delicate work," she warned as she prepared to interface with Blackwood's neural link. "Any false move could trigger the dead man's switch." As Dr. Reeves began her work, the space battle outside intensified. Blackwood's forces, perhaps sensing their leader was in danger, pressed their attack with renewed vigor. Admiral Steele's voice came through the comm, strained and urgent. "Logan, we can't hold them off much longer. Whatever you're going to do it fast." Suddenly, a blinding flash lit up space around them. Alarms blared as a massive energy surge registered on the pod's sensors. "It's the nearby star," Zara exclaimed, her eyes wide as she interpreted the readings. "It's emitting a deadly radiation burst. If it hits the fleets..." As Steele's warning went out, they watched the monitors in tense silence. Slowly, agonizingly, both fleets began to move, withdrawing from their battle lines to escape the approaching wave of stellar radiation. Logan turned to her, dread settling in his stomach. "What is it?" "The dead man's switch is too deeply integrated," she explained. "Deactivating it could cause irreparable damage to the general's mind." "What if," Logan began slowly, an idea forming, "instead of shutting it down, we use it? Broadcast a message to Blackwood's entire fleet?" Zara's eyes lit up with understanding. "A message of unity, of cooperation." "It could work," Dr. Reeves nodded. "But what message could possibly overcome years of built-up mistrust and aggression?" As Dr. Reeves prepared the neural broadcast, Logan and Zara huddled together, crafting their appeal for peace. They drew on their shared experiences, on the events that had brought them to this moment, on the very real threat that now faced all of them equally. With the stellar radiation approaching and time running out, they finalized their message. Logan nodded to Dr. Reeves, who activated the broadcast. As their words flowed through the neural network, reaching every ship in Blackwood's fleet, Logan watched the general's face. Emotions played across Blackwood's scarred features: surprise, confusion, and something that might have been the first flicker of understanding. The fate of billions now rested on whether their hastily crafted message could bridge the gap between fear and hope, between aggression and cooperation. As they waited for a response, the space around them grew quiet, the battle suspended in an uneasy ceasefire. Suddenly, the comm crackled to life. "This is Captain Reyna of the ISS Valiant," a voice announced. We've received your message. It's true, isn't it? About the radiation?" Logan exchanged a glance with Zara before responding. "Affirmative, Captain. The stellar event threatens all of us equally. We need to work together to survive." There was a pause, then a flurry of activity as more ships began responding. The unified front of Blackwood's fleet fractured as individual captains assessed the situation and made their choices. "Incoming transmission from Admiral Steele," Zara reported, her fingers dancing over the console. Steele's hologram materialized in the cramped pod, his face etched with tension. "Good work, you two. Blackwood's fleet is in disarray. We're seeing widespread confusion and dissent among their ranks." "We need to move," Logan said urgently. "That radiation burst isn't slowing down." As the Admiral's image faded, Logan turned to Dr. Reeves. "Can you sever Blackwood's neural link now?" The scientist shook her head. "Not safely. The connection is too deeply integrated. We need more time." A violent tremor shook the pod, nearly knocking them off their feet. Through the viewport, Logan saw a massive wave of energy approaching, its edges distorting the very fabric of space. "Time's up," he growled. "We need to move. Now!" With practiced efficiency, Logan and Zara prepped the pod for emergency maneuvers. Blackwood, still restrained but no longer actively resisting, watched them work with a mixture of grudging respect and lingering defiance. As they detached from Dr. Reeves's shuttle, Logan opened a broadcast to all nearby ships. "This is Commander Logan of the United Earth Forces. All vessels, follow our lead to Sector 7 Alpha, maintain formation and watch each other's backs. Today, we survive together or not at all." The next hours were a blur of frantic maneuvering and tense silence. Ships from both fleets, once bitter enemies, now flew in close formation. As they raced against the approaching wall of deadly radiation, Logan saw human and alien crews working together, sharing navigational data and energy readings. Twice, they nearly lost ships to the encroaching energy wave. Each time, vessels from the opposing fleet swooped in to provide assistance, towing damaged ships to safety or bolstering failing shields with their own. When they finally reached the relative safety of Sector 7 Alpha, a collective sigh of relief echoed across the comm channels. As the fleet regrouped, Logan saw the first seeds of trust beginning to sprout between the former adversaries. Taking advantage of the momentary calm, Dr. Reeves resumed her work on Blackwood's neural link. With the immediate threat of the dead man's switch neutralized, she carefully began the process of severing the connection entirely. Blackwood, his face pale and drawn, locked eyes with Logan. "You've won," he said quietly. "But at what cost? The threat's out there. They're real. They're coming. And now we're weaker than ever. Before Logan could respond, Zara's voice cut through the tense atmosphere. Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council. The holographic image of Counselor Talara, a statuesque Vulcan, materialized in the center of the pod. Her eyes swept over the assembled group, lingering on Blackwood. "Commander Logan, Diplomat Zara," she intoned, "the Council has been monitoring the situation. We are impressed with your resolution of this crisis. You are hereby ordered to return to Council space with General Blackwood for a formal hearing." But as he opened his mouth to acknowledge the order, alarms blared throughout the pod. Zara's hands flew over the console, her eyes widening in shock. The viewport filled with the image of a monstrous vessel, easily dwarfing the largest ships in either human fleet. Its design was alien, all sharp angles and pulsing energy nodes. "Zoxarian," Zara breathed, recognition and fear mingling in her voice. Logan's blood ran cold. He had heard of the Zoxarians, a notoriously aggressive species that had been pushing at the borders of known space for years. But he had never imagined they would strike so boldly, so deep into Allied territory. Logan's mind raced. They had just barely survived one crisis, and now they faced an even greater threat. But as he looked around the pod, at Zara's determined face, at Dr. Reeves' calculating gaze, even at Blackwood's grim expression, he knew they couldn't give up. "Admiral Steele," Logan called, opening a comm channel, "we have a new situation." As Steele's hologram appeared, Logan began outlining a plan. It was risky, perhaps even foolhardy, but it was their only chance. They would need every ship, every skilled operative they could muster. And as he spoke, Logan realized that the true test of human-alien cooperation was just beginning. The fate of not just Earth or Bolia, but the entire sector now hung in the balance. Zara nodded, her eyes shining with a mixture of fear and perseverance. As they began preparations for their daring assault on the Zox-Aryan warship, Logan couldn't help but feel that everything that had come before, all the fights, all the mistrust, had been leading to this moment. Now they would truly learn if humans and aliens could set aside their differences and work together. The alternative was unthinkable. Extinction. With a nod to Zara, Logan activated the pod's thrusters, steering them towards the looming Zox-Aryan warship. As they approached, the sheer scale of the vessel became apparent, dwarfing even the largest ships in the human fleet. "We'll need to find a way in," Logan said, his voice tense as he scanned the hull for vulnerabilities. Zara's eyes narrowed as she studied the ship's architecture. "There," she pointed to a recessed area near the aft section. "That looks like a maintenance hatch. We might be able to breach it." As they maneuvered closer, the comm crackled to life. Admiral Steele's voice came through, tinged with urgency. "Logan, Zara, we're detecting massive energy buildup in the Zoxarian ship. Whatever you're planning, do it fast." Logan gritted his teeth, pushing the pod's engines to their limit. They reached the maintenance hatch, and Zara immediately set to work, her fingers flying over the control panel as she attempted to bypass the security protocols. "Got it!" she exclaimed as the hatch slid open with a hiss. She nodded, her eyes reflecting a mix of purpose and apprehension. "Let's do this." They entered the ship, moving swiftly through dimly lit corridors. The interior was a maze of angular passageways and pulsing energy conduits. They encountered minimal resistance at first, catching the Zoxarian crew off guard with their bold infiltration. As they delved deeper into the ship, however, the opposition intensified. Zoxarian warriors, tall and imposing with their chitinous armor, began to converge on their position. Logan and Zara fought back to back, their movements synchronized from months of working together. Logan's combat training kicked in as he engaged the Zoxarians in close quarters. He ducked under a swinging energy blade, retaliating with a series of quick strikes that sent his opponent reeling. Beside him, Zara used her agility to outmaneuver the larger aliens, her own weapon finding weak points in their armor. Despite their skill, the sheer number of Zoxarians began to overwhelm them. Logan took a glancing blow to his side, the energy weapon searing through his suit and into flesh. He stumbled, and a Zoxarian warrior seized the opportunity, raising its weapon for a killing blow. Suddenly, the warrior froze, its body convulsing as arcs of electricity coursed through it. It collapsed, revealing Zara behind it, her hand outstretched with a jury-rigged stun device. Zara helped him up, concern etched on her face. "We need to keep moving. The weapon control center should be nearby." They pressed on, fighting through waves of Zoxarian defenders. Logan's injury slowed them down, but Zara compensated, covering his weak side and clearing a path forward. "This is it," she breathed, "the superweapon's power source." As Zara set to work disabling the weapon, Logan positioned himself at the entrance, ready to hold off any Zoxarians who might try to stop them. The sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the corridors. "Whatever you're doing, do it fast," Logan called over his shoulder, raising his weapon. Zara's fingers danced over the alien controls, her mind racing as she deciphered the complex systems. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she worked, the fate of billions hanging on her ability to disable the weapon. The first wave of Zoxarians reached the chamber. Logan opened fire, his shots picking off the lead warriors. But more kept coming, their inhuman shrieks filling the air as they charged forward. Logan fought with everything he had, his body pushed to its limits. He used the narrow entrance to funnel the Zoxarians, turning it into a killing ground. But his injury was taking its toll, his movements becoming slower, less precise. Just as it seemed they would be overrun, Zara's voice rang out. "I've done it!" The energy core began to flicker and dim. Alarms blared throughout the ship as systems began to fail. The Zoxarians faltered, confusion spreading through their ranks. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with a group of panicked Zoxarian crew members. Among them was a smaller figure, distinctly different from the warriors they had faced. The alien raised its hands in a gesture of peace. "Wait, I am Zelthra, a scientist. I mean you no harm." Logan and Zara exchanged a quick glance. With Logan's injury and their unfamiliarity with the ship's layout, they needed all the help they could get. Zelthra guided them through the deteriorating ship, avoiding the worst of the chaos. They reached a small hangar where a single escape pod remained. As they prepared to board, a group of Zoxarian soldiers burst into the hangar. Logan, despite his weakened state, moved to intercept them. "Go!" he shouted to Zara and Zelthra. "Get the pod ready!" Logan engaged the Zoxarians, his human resilience on full display as he fought against multiple opponents. He managed to take down several before being overwhelmed, a crushing blow sending him to his knees. Zara, seeing Logan in danger, abandoned the escape pod preparations. She charged into the fray, her smaller size allowing her to weave between the larger Zoxarians. Together, she and Logan fought their way back to the pod where Zelthra waited, systems primed for launch. They tumbled into the pod, the hatch sealing behind them, as Zelthra initiated the launch sequence. The small craft shot out of the hangar, narrowly avoiding debris from the disintegrating Zoxarian warship. As they sped away, they watched through the pod's viewport as the combined human fleet, now unified under Admiral Steele's command, launched a final devastating assault on the crippled Zoxarian vessel. The massive ship broke apart under the barrage, signaling a decisive victory for Earth and its allies. Their pod was quickly retrieved by one of Admiral Steele's ships. As they were brought aboard, medical teams rushed to tend to Logan's injuries. Zara stayed by his side, her hand gripping his as he was whisked away to the medical bay. In the aftermath of the battle, news of their successful mission spread quickly through the fleet. The unexpected alliance with Zelthra sparked intense interest, with many recognizing the potential value of her knowledge about Zoxarian technology and strategies. Admiral Steele ordered the fleet to maintain a defensive position around Bolian space, wary of potential Zoxarian retaliation. This move, while tactically sound, raised eyebrows among some council members, who viewed it as a sign of human expansionism. In the quiet moments between debriefings and medical checks, Logan and Zara found themselves drawn to each other, their shared ordeal forging a bond that transcended their differences. As they stood together, looking out at the stars, they knew that their journey was far from finished. The Galactic Council was preparing to convene, and they had been summoned to testify. The fate of human-alien relations, the looming threat of Zoxarian retaliation, and the integration of Zelthra into the galactic community all hung in the balance. As they prepared for the next phase of their adventure, Logan and Zara exchanged a look of understanding. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, a living symbol of the potential for cooperation between humans and aliens in this vast, unpredictable universe. Logan and Zara stood side by side before the massive doors of the Galactic Council chambers. The air thrummed with tension as delegates from across the galaxy filed past them, their alien features a kaleidoscope of diversity. She nodded, her expression a mix of purpose and apprehension. As I'll ever be. The doors swung open, revealing a vast amphitheater filled with tiered seating. At its center stood a raised platform where they would present their testimony. Logan felt a flutter of nervousness in his stomach as they made their way to the platform, acutely aware of the countless eyes upon them. As they took their positions, Logan scanned the chamber. He spotted Admiral Steele seated with the Earth delegation, his face impassive. On the opposite side, Rigel, the Bolian representative, watched them with narrowed eyes. The council chairperson, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin, called the session to order. We are here to hear testimony regarding recent events involving Earth, Bolia, and the Zoxarian Empire. Logan Parker and Zara of Bolia, you may begin. Logan took a deep breath and launched into their account. He described Blackwood's attempted coup, the subsequent alliance with Zara, and their desperate mission to stop the Zoxarian invasion. As he spoke, holographic displays flickered to life, showing footage from their battles and data on the Zoxarian warship. Zara picked up the narrative, her voice clear and steady, as she detailed their infiltration of the enemy vessel. It was only through our combined efforts, human ingenuity and Bolian knowledge, that we were able to disable the Zoxarian superweapon. As they concluded their testimony, a murmur rippled through the chamber. Many delegates nodded approvingly, but others whispered among themselves, their expressions guarded. Rigel rose to his feet, his voice cutting through the chatter. While we appreciate the humans' assistance, we cannot ignore the fact that their fleet remains in Bolian space. How can we be sure this is not the first step in human expansionism? Admiral Steele stood to address the concern. Our fleet remains only to ensure the safety of the Bolian people against potential Zoxarian retaliation. We have no intention of establishing a permanent presence without the express consent of the Bolian government and this council. The debate continued, with various factions voicing their opinions. Logan and Zara exchanged glances, feeling the weight of the galaxy's future on their shoulders. Suddenly, the chamber doors burst open. A group of guards escorted a small, hunched figure to the platform. Logan recognized her immediately, Zelthra, the Zoxarian scientist who had aided their escape. The chairperson's voice rang out. The council will now hear testimony from Zelthra, formerly of the Zoxarian Empire. Zelthra's testimony sent shockwaves through the assembly. She revealed details of Zoxarian military capabilities, their plans for galactic domination, and the ruthless nature of their leadership. The defeat at Bolia has only delayed their plans, she warned, her large eyes blinking rapidly. They will regroup and strike again, harder and more viciously than before. As the council deliberated on granting Zelthra asylum, an aide rushed to the chairperson, whispering urgently. The chairperson's face darkened. We have received a communication from the Zoxarian Empire, they announced. They demand the return of Zelthra, threatening retaliation if we refuse. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, some calling for immediate action, others urging caution. Amidst the commotion, Admiral Steele received an urgent message. He stood, his face grave. Madam Chairperson, I've just received word of increased Zoxarian fleet movements near the galaxy's outer rim. We believe they may be preparing for a large-scale invasion. The news silenced the chamber. The chairperson called for an emergency recess to allow the council to process this new information and formulate a response. Before Logan could respond, they were approached by a stern-looking official. Mr. Parker, Miss Zara, your presence is requested in Conference Room Alpha. The council wishes to discuss something of utmost importance. They followed the official through winding corridors, eventually entering a smaller, more private chamber. Inside, they found Admiral Steele, the council chairperson, and several key delegates. The chairperson spoke without preamble. "We've received a communication from Earth. They claim to have developed a revolutionary planetary defense system. If this technology is genuine, it could change everything." Admiral Steele stepped forward. "The technology is real. We've been developing it in secret for years. It's capable of creating an energy shield that can protect an entire planet from orbital bombardment or invasion." The room erupted in a flurry of questions and exclamations. Logan caught Zara's eye, seeing his own mix of hope and apprehension reflected there. As the discussions intensified, an alarm suddenly blared through the building. Screens around the room flickered to life, showing cascading lines of code. "We're under attack," a technician shouted. "A virus is infiltrating our systems." With the council's permission, Logan joined the alien technicians at their workstations. His fingers flew over the unfamiliar controls as he worked to isolate and neutralize the virus. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he raced against time, knowing that the entire galaxy's communication and defense networks hung in the balance. After what felt like hours but was likely only minutes, Logan sat back, exhausted but triumphant. "It's done. The virus has been contained and eliminated." The room breathed a collective sigh of relief. The chairperson approached Logan, their expression one of grudging respect. "It seems we owe you our gratitude once again, Mr. Parker. Perhaps there is more to be gained from an alliance with humanity than we initially thought." As the immediate crisis passed, the council reconvened to make their final decision. The chamber was thick with tension as the chairperson rose to speak. "After much deliberation, the council has decided to form a provisional alliance with Earth against the Zoxarian threat. We will allow the human fleet to establish a defensive perimeter in key systems, including Bolian space. In return, Earth has agreed to share some of its technological advancements, particularly in defense and propulsion systems." As the session concluded, Admiral Steele approached Logan and Zara. "We have a lot of work ahead of us," he said gravely. "Logan, I need you to help coordinate the integration of our forces with those of our new allies. Zara, the Council has requested that you lead a diplomatic mission to non-Council worlds. We need to expand our alliance if we're to stand a chance against the Zoxarians." Logan and Zara exchanged glances, the reality of their new responsibilities sinking in. They had fought side by side, forged a bond stronger than either had anticipated. Now, duty would separate them. "I guess this is goodbye for now," Logan said softly, taking Zara's hand. She squeezed it gently. "Not goodbye, just until we meet again." As they prepared to part ways, each heading towards their new assignments, the gravity of the situation settled over them. The galaxy stood on the brink of war, and they were at the center of it all. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them knowing that they had each other and the hope of a united galaxy to fight for. As Logan and Zara parted ways, the enormity of their new responsibilities settled over them. The galaxy stood on the precipice of change, and they were at its center. Weeks passed in a flurry of activity. Logan found himself aboard the UES Intrepid, Admiral Steele's flagship, as it cruised through the star-studded expanse of Allied space. The ship's bridge hummed with activity, a mix of human and alien crew working in concert. Logan's fingers danced across a holographic display, fine-tuning the integration of Earth's defense systems with those of their new allies. The revolutionary planetary shield technology had become the cornerstone of their strategy, and Logan was determined to see it implemented flawlessly. Logan nodded, feeling the weight of the task before him. As he made his way to the shuttle bay, he couldn't help but think of Zara, wondering how her diplomatic mission was progressing. Light years away, Zara stood before the imposing gates of a Zoxarian outpost. Her heart raced, but her face remained impassive as she addressed the guards. "I am here as an emissary of the Galactic Alliance. I seek an audience with Krelvax." The name sent a ripple of unease through the guards. After a tense moment, they ushered her inside. Zara found herself in a dimly lit chamber, face to face with Krelvax, a tall Zoxarian with intricate patterns etched into his carapace. Zara took a deep breath. We know of your opposition to the invasion. The Alliance is prepared to offer support if you move against the Empire's leadership. Krelvax's eyes narrowed. And what guarantee do we have that we won't be replacing one master with another? As Zara negotiated with the Zoxarian rebels, Logan grappled with his own challenges. The Centauri, a race of bioluminescent humanoids, watched with barely concealed hostility as human technicians began the shield installation. Your technology is untested, the Centauri leader, a being named Lyrax, hissed. How do we know it won't fail when we need it most? As he spoke, alarms blared across the installation site. A technician rushed up, her face pale. Sir, we've detected Zoxarian probe ships entering the system. Logan's training kicked in. He barked orders, coordinating the defense response while simultaneously overseeing the final stages of the shield installation. The Centauri watched in awe as the massive energy barrier sprang to life, enveloping their world in a shimmering cocoon. The Zoxarian probes approached, weapons primed. They fired, their energy beams splashing harmlessly against the shield. After several failed attempts to breach the defenses, the enemy ships retreated. Lyrax turned to Logan, his bioluminescence pulsing with excitement. Perhaps we were hasty in our judgment. Your shield has proven its worth. Back on the Galactic Council homeworld, Zelthra hunched over complex schematics, her large eyes blinking rapidly as she processed the information. Admiral Steele stood nearby, watching intently. Steele nodded, a grim smile on his face. This could change everything. We need to get this information to the Council immediately. The Council chambers buzzed with tension as Logan and Zara, reunited after weeks apart, presented their findings. Logan detailed the successful implementation of the defense network, while Zara spoke of the potential alliance with Krelvax's rebel faction. We have a unique opportunity, Zara argued. By supporting the rebels, we can weaken the Empire from within, potentially avoiding full-scale war. Rigel, the Bolian representative, rose to his feet. And risk giving the Zoxarians time to strengthen their position? We should strike now while we have the advantage. The debate raged on, with council members split between the two approaches. Logan and Zara exchanged glances, the strain of their differing perspectives evident. Suddenly, the chamber's main display flared to life, showing a Zoxarian battle group advancing on a key Alliance shipyard. Admiral Steele's voice crackled over the comms. We're moving to engage. This is it, people. Let's show them what this alliance can do. As the council watched in tense silence, the battle unfolded. Human ships, their weapons modified with Zelthra's discoveries, fired precision shots that disabled Zoxarian vessels without destroying them. Allied ships, their movements coordinated with unprecedented efficiency, outmaneuvered the enemy at every turn. Yet the cost was high. Several Alliance ships fell to the Zoxarian onslaught, their crews lost in silent explosions. The shipyard itself took heavy damage before the attackers were finally repelled. As the battle concluded, Logan received an urgent message from Earth. His eyes widened as he read the contents. A new weapon, powerful beyond anything they had yet deployed, but with risks that made him hesitate. The Zoxarian Empire was wounded, but not defeated. As reports of enemy fleet movements flooded in, Logan knew that the decisions made in the coming hours would shape the fate of the stars. With the weight of this new information from Earth pressing on his mind, he stepped forward to address the Council once more. Counselors, I've just received critical information from Earth, he began, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. We've developed a new weapon, codenamed Nova Spear. It's powerful, more so than anything we've deployed thus far. Logan hesitated, glancing at Zara before continuing. The details are classified, sir, but its potential impact on the war effort is significant. However, there are risks involved that we need to consider carefully. Before further discussion could ensue, alarms blared throughout the chamber. A holographic display materialized in the center of the room, showing a massive fleet of Zoxarian ships advancing towards Alliance space. Admiral Steele's face hardened. It seems our enemies have made the decision for us. We need to act now. He turned to the Council. I'm initiating a full-scale mobilization of the human fleet. We'll call in every available ship from Earth and the colonies. The next few days passed in a blur of frenetic activity. Logan found himself aboard the UES Defiant, overseeing the installation of a new targeting system on key Alliance warships. The technology, designed to pinpoint weaknesses in Zoxarian vessels, promised to turn the tide of battle in their favor. As Logan worked, he couldn't shake the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. The Nova Spear loomed in his mind, a last resort he hoped they wouldn't need to use. "System calibration complete," announced a junior officer. "We're ready for the test run, sir." Logan nodded, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "Initiating targeting sequence now." The ship hummed as the system powered up. Suddenly, alarms blared, and the deck shuddered beneath their feet. Logan's heart sank as he realized what had happened. A critical malfunction had caused the system to target Allied vessels. "Abort! Abort!" he shouted, frantically working to shut down the system. When the chaos subsided, the damage report made his stomach churn. Several Alliance ships had sustained significant damage from the friendly fire incident. As news of the malfunction spread, Logan could feel the growing unease among the Allied forces. The reliability of human technology, once their greatest asset, was now being called into question. Meanwhile, light years away, Zara stood before Krelvax, the imposing Zoxarian rebel leader. Months of careful negotiation had led to this moment. "Your alliance faces annihilation," Krelvax rumbled, his multifaceted eyes gleaming. "The Empire plans to launch a full-scale invasion within days. Their fleet numbers are substantial." Zara's heart raced, but she kept her voice steady. "We suspected as much. What can you tell us about their battle plans?" As Krelvax divulged crucial details about the impending invasion, Zara knew that every second counted. The Alliance needed this information immediately. Back at the Galactic Council headquarters, Logan stood before the assembled leaders, his face grim as he reported on the targeting system malfunction. The chamber buzzed with concerned whispers. Before the council could fully process this setback, Zara burst into the room, her eyes wild with urgency. "The Zoxarians are coming," she announced, quickly relaying the intelligence from Krelvax. "Their fleet is massing as we speak. We have days at most." The council erupted into chaos. Admiral Steele's voice cut through the din. "We need to accelerate our preparations. Now." He turned to Logan. "Parker, we don't have time for further testing. You need to get that targeting system online and functional." Logan nodded, feeling the weight of countless lives on his shoulders. As he turned to leave, the council chairperson spoke up. "There's one more thing. In light of this imminent threat, we're authorizing the deployment of the Nova Spear technology." As Logan left the chamber, his mind racing, he nearly collided with Zelthra. The Zoxarian scientist's large eyes were wide with alarm. "Logan, I must speak with you urgently," she whispered. "It's about the Nova Spear." In a secluded corner, Zelthra revealed her findings. "The weapon's effects could be catastrophic," she explained, her voice trembling. "It has the potential to tear apart the very fabric of space-time. Entire star systems could be rendered uninhabitable." Before Logan could respond, Admiral Steele's voice boomed over the intercom. "All hands, battle stations! Zoxarian fleet detected at the edge of Alliance space. This is not a drill." As they rushed to their posts, Logan and Zara exchanged a look of unwavering purpose. The moment they had been preparing for had finally arrived. The Alliance fleet formed up, with human ships at the forefront. Logan stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching as the massive Zoxarian armada appeared on their long-range scanners. The numbers were staggering, far exceeding even their worst estimates. "Sir," a communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth." As the first wave of Zoxarian ships engaged the outer defense perimeter, Logan knew he had to make a decision. The lives of countless Alliance soldiers and civilians hung in the balance. With a deep breath, he opened a channel to all ships equipped with the Nova Spear. "This is Commander Logan Parker. All ships disable Nova Spear systems immediately. I repeat, disable Nova Spear systems." Admiral Steele's face appeared on the console, his expression a mix of anger and confusion. "Parker, what the hell are you doing?" Sir, I have reason to believe the Nova Spear is too dangerous to use, Logan explained quickly. But I have another plan. We can use Zelthra's knowledge of Zoxarian weaknesses, combined with our new targeting system, to strike at the heart of their fleet. For a moment, Logan thought the Admiral would reject his plan outright. But as reports of overwhelming Zoxarian numbers flooded in, Steele's expression changed. You better be right about this, Parker, he growled. What's your plan? As Logan outlined his strategy, the main Zoxarian assault bore down on the Alliance's core worlds. The fate of the galactic realm hung in the balance, with the effectiveness of human ingenuity and alien cooperation about to be put to the ultimate test. Logan looked out at the sea of stars, now dotted with the ominous shapes of Zoxarian warships. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the battle to come. Whatever happened next would change the course of galactic history forever. Logan's eyes swept across the tactical display, his mind racing as he formulated a plan. The overwhelming numbers of the Zoxarian fleet loomed before them, but he knew they had one advantage: knowledge. All ships, this is Commander Parker, he announced, his voice steady despite the tension. Implement Operation Precision Strike. Target Zoxarian command vessels using the enhanced systems. Zelthra's data is our key. As the orders spread through the Alliance fleet, Logan watched the tactical display with nervous excitement. The human ships, their targeting systems now finely tuned to Zoxarian vulnerabilities, unleashed a barrage of precision fire. Beams of energy lanced across space, striking the enemy command ships with surgical accuracy. Admiral Steele's voice crackled over the comms. By God, Parker, it's working. All ships press the advantage. Full counteroffensive. The massive human vessels, dwarfing even the largest Zoxarian ships, surged forward. Logan found himself on the bridge of the flagship Terran Vanguard, a behemoth that embodied the full might of human engineering. As the Terran Vanguard plowed through the Zoxarian lines, Logan coordinated the assault with a mix of human intuition and the tactical insights gleaned from their alien allies. The bridge buzzed with activity, officers relaying orders and status updates in a symphony of organized chaos. Suddenly, a priority message flashed on Logan's console. It was from Zara. His heart skipped a beat as he opened the communication channel. Logan, I've just received word from Krelvax. Zara's voice was urgent but controlled. The rebel faction has begun their uprising. The Zoxarian Empire is facing internal conflict. Logan's mind raced with the implications. This changes everything. We need to exploit this opportunity. He quickly adjusted the battle plan, directing Alliance forces to target areas where the rebel uprising was strongest. The precision targeting system allowed them to disable Zoxarian ships without destroying them, a display of mercy that did not go unnoticed. As the battle raged on, reports flooded in of Zoxarian crews surrendering or even turning against their own commanders. The once unstoppable invasion force was unraveling before their eyes. In the midst of the chaos, Logan spotted a massive vessel on the tactical display, easily identified as the Zoxarian Emperor's personal battleship. It was holding position at the rear of the fleet, surrounded by a protective screen of warships. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances, but carried out his orders without hesitation. As the Terran Vanguard approached the Imperial vessel, Logan took a deep breath and opened the channel. This is Commander Logan Parker of the Galactic Alliance, he announced, his voice firm. Your Majesty, I urge you to look around you. Your fleet is in disarray, your empire is facing internal rebellion, and still we have not unleashed our full strength against you. There is another way forward. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then a deep, resonant voice filled the bridge. Speak, human. What do you propose? Logan outlined the situation, emphasizing the strength of the Alliance and the growing dissent within the Zoxarian ranks. He offered the Emperor a chance to end the conflict and join in building a new galactic order. As the Emperor considered his words, Logan held his breath. The entire battle seemed to hang in suspension, waiting for this pivotal moment. Finally, the Emperor spoke. Perhaps there is wisdom in your words, human. I will agree to a ceasefire. Let us discuss terms. The tension on the bridge broke, replaced by a wave of relief and cautious optimism. Logan immediately began coordinating with Zara to assemble a diplomatic delegation. Hours later, Logan found himself aboard the Emperor's ship, standing beside Zara as they negotiated the terms of peace. Krelvax and representatives from the rebel faction joined them, their presence a testament to the changing tide within the Zoxarian Empire. When the final agreement was reached, Logan felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The document they had crafted not only ended the current conflict, but laid the groundwork for the Zoxarian Empire to join the Galactic Alliance. As they prepared to present the treaty to the Galactic Council, Logan pulled Zara aside. "We did it," he said softly, taking her hands in his. "There were moments when I thought, but we actually did it." Zara's eyes shimmered with emotion. "We did it together, Logan. All of us, human and alien alike. This is what we've been working towards all along." Logan nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. "And our work is just beginning. There's so much more to do, so many bridges to build." As they made their way to the council chambers, Logan's mind was already racing with ideas. He and Zara had demonstrated the power of cooperation between species. Now it was time to build on that foundation and create a truly united galactic community. The doors to the council chamber loomed before them, and Logan squeezed Zara's hand one last time before they entered. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew they would face them together, as representatives of a new era in galactic history.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.